Hello and welcome to Devil's Advocate. Does the government have a duty to discourage smoking? And if so, how effectively is it doing it? That's the key issue I shall raise today with the Health Minister, Ambumani Ramdas. Dr. Ramdas, given the present confusion over the government's position on smoking, let me start by ascertaining your position as Health Minister. First of all, do you believe the government has a duty to discourage smoking?
Absolutely. Just given the fact, very shortly I'll say that India is 1/6 of humanity, living on just 2.4% of the world's land. 40% of India's health problem is tobacco related.
All right, given that you say the government has a duty to discourage smoking, do you also accept that all the research shows that graphic pictorial warnings are considerably more effective than textual cautions on cigarette packets?
Yes, it is very effective given the fact that India has a lot of illiteracy and multi-language problem. In fact, earlier we had statutory warnings on words, but it wasn't much of effect.
So you're saying that given that India has 36% illiteracy, and on top of that it's a multilingual society, pictorial warnings are perhaps the only way of making the poor and the uneducated aware of the harmful effects of smoking?
It is not the only way, but it's also a way, it's also very effective where you've seen examples in different countries.
Is it the most effective way?
I can't say it is the most effective way, it is also one of the effective ways, because it goes to, you can say, example, BD smoking. 55% of tobacco in India is BDs. And when you say BDs, most of them are smoked by illiterate people.
Let me point out the international research. It shows that 68% of Brazilian smokers and 57% of Canadian smokers, two countries where pictorial warnings are compulsory, say that pictorial warnings have made them think twice, maybe even 3 times about smoking. Is there any reason to believe that if pictorial warnings were compulsory in India, Indians would behave differently?
I don't think so. I mean, I'm sure it would be very effective given the fact that all these times we have been saying things to the people. But I believe now it's time to scare them and say that, yes, these pictures, I mean, this is what you'll end up if you smoke and you take on use these tobacco products.
I want to repeat what you said. The time to scare people has come.
Yes, absolutely, because on the contrary of Western world, when you say all the developed countries, the tobacco incidence is coming down. Whereas India, it is frighteningly going up.
All right, given that it's going up frighteningly, let me put something else to you. It's well known, as you said a moment ago, that 40% of all illnesses in India are tobacco-related, leading to 1 million deaths a year. The World Health Organization estimates that by 2020, almost 15% of all deaths in India will be tobacco-related. Given those facts, and given that tobacco smoking is increasing, what would happen if India did not make pictorial warnings compulsory?
I mean, when you say pictorial warning is again a part of the activity. There's no smoking in public places, no advertisements of any tobacco products, no selling to minors, and all these. It's a part of all these.
If all of that wasn't done effectively, what would happen to India?
I'm sure. I mean, so pictorial warning is going to play a major part of warning, of scaring people, of scaring illiterate people, the young adults. I mean, who doesn't know the effects of ill effects of tobacco.
So pictorial warnings will actually save lives. People
Absolutely.
who otherwise would smoke and die could be saved.
Absolutely, you've been saying in the Western world, but I mean, I believe it's going to be the same here in India.
So you're saying to me pictorial warnings are a matter of life and death. They can save lives.
I'm sure they can, because I'm saying pictorial warning is again one more activity where you go out to the people out there and create an awareness.
In that case, Minister, explain to me, how do you justify the fact that on 4 separate occasions your government has failed to implement its own decision to make pictorial warnings compulsory on cigarette packets, BD packets and other tobacco-related products? How do you explain that?
See, it is both related to both political activity and the judiciary as such, like. And
the judiciary is pushing for it. The Simla High Court is setting deadlines.
I mean, again, they are given the extended deadline till the March
because you asked for it.
This year, but we are, see, as intention of the government is that we are going for pictorial warning. There are no two views on that.
But you say it's the intention of the government. 4 times the cabinet has failed to implement
its not the cabinet. It's nothing to do with the cabinet.
The group of ministers.
It's nothing to do with the cabinet or the group of ministers. But then it had to, in time again, due to the political intensity, the problem of the laborers, the employees, the BD workers, where there's been a lot of pressure being mounted on the government by the members of parliament, by various parties and political parties. So we have to,
Can I interrupt?
Yes.
Pause for a moment and listen to what you're saying. It's pressure on the government because of BD workers and cigarette workers. There are today 30 lakh bidi and cigarette and tobacco workers in the country. Against that, there are 250 million people who smoke and another 750 million who could be tempted to smoke. How can the concerns of 30 lakh tobacco industry workers overweigh the interest of 1 billion Indians?
See, we're not saying we're not going to do away with pictorial warning. Pictorial warning is going to come without a doubt.
But it hasn't come.
The intention of the government is to bring it, but it's just a time factor. Now, see, now we have till March and we're going to bring it before that. And I don't see why we're not going to. And definitely, we are at that. The group of ministers is at that. And the intention of the government is that.
Minister, you keep talking about the intention of the government. You were meant to do this in 2006 July.
There were some practical problems.
4 times after that, the deadline has been avoided. It's quite possible you may miss it a 5th time. You're losing lives in the meantime. Here is a government that admits that people could die, are dying, and the number that are likely to die is growing. And yet, it's failing to implement its own decision. I put it to you, that is irresponsible.
I'll again say that there were some practical problems. We are overcoming that. And you see, any scheme in the country, there will be practical problems. We have to overcome that. We have to go there in consonance, in consultations, and then we have to get it. But again, when I say that ultimate aim is, we are going to bring it. There's no two views on that.
You're going to bring pictorial warnings?
Pictorial warnings, yes.
Pictorial warnings.
Pictorial warnings on tobacco products.
Let me tell you why many people doubt you. They don't doubt you personally because they know you're totally committed to this. But why they doubt your government and why they doubt its intentions. Pranab Mukherjee, the minister in charge of the group of ministers handling this issue, has told the Indian Express last week that pictorial warnings which are repulsive cannot be accepted. Those are his words. Now I put it to you. If cancers and tumors are repulsive, pictures of them can't be anything less. So what is he talking about?
I mean, see, I don't like to comment on what is the view of the group of ministers because it's an internal consultation.
And it's
no, I mean, that's a different issue. But pictorial warning, again, I will again reiterate. See, start somewhere and move positively and go forward
so what will you
progressively.
Start with the little child smiling so that it doesn't put anyone off?
It's not the smiling part, but then when you're going to see in the next couple of months, like what pictures are going to come and how we're going to create an awareness, as well as scare them. It's not going to be some innocent pictures out there.
The organization Hriday is carrying out a campaign in the newspapers. Full scope advertisements appeared in the Hindustan Times and the Times of India demanding from the government the severest, most graphic pictorial warnings. You know that all the research done suggests that severe graphic pictorial warnings work. I want to quote to you the Association of European Cancer Leagues. This is what they say. The 2 warnings identified as most effective at discouraging smoking were the warning depicting a diseased mouth and the warning depicting a lung tumor. Those are down in India to be on packages if the GOM agrees. Now, do you think such pictures should be there or not? Give me your opinion.
See, personally, I believe that pictures should scare the people. But then again, it is the decision of the government, the decision of the group of ministers. We have to take the consideration of the various section of people, I mean, including the employees, all the other people out there.
Forgive me.
And let me put it this way. We are going to do it progressively, if at all. Like.
So you're going to begin ineffectively, and you're going to hope and pray that one day you get the courage to be strong.
You can't just say that means before it coming, just can't say it's ineffective.
But tell me something then. Will you have pictures of a diseased mouth and lung tumor? I know you as a minister want them. I know that you're personally for them. You said so. Will Pranab Mukherjee,
it's nothing,
will Kamal Nath and the rest of the
it has nothing to do with Mr. Pranab Mukherjee. He is a very senior politician and we have
He's gone public with his views.
No. We have all confidence in him. It has nothing to do with him. It's to do with the technical. See, the INB ministry, they are technical component.
The INB ministry?
The INB ministry.
If it's a matter of saving Indian lives, how does the INB ministry come in?
The pictures, both the INB ministry and the health ministry, in consultation with each other, are going to get into these pictures and what sort of pictures should come.
No, but what you're
overlooking
nothing to
do with Mr. Pranab Mukherjee or any other ministers in this time.
Minister, what you're overlooking is that pictures of the sort I'm talking about, a diseased mouth and lung tumor, were agreed to by the government. The GOM accepted them. They were supposed to start on the 1st of December. Then the government unraveled its own decision. The GOM changed its mind and went back on its own agreed policy. I'm now asking you, can you get them to accept such pictures or not? You want them. But will they accept
Absolutely.
them?
To the GOM, the Health Ministry are going to bring in these pictures. INB Ministry, they are going to bring in pictures. And in consultation with GOM, what is acceptable, we are going to bring it, and we're going to...
Let me put something else to you. In the same interview to the Indian Express, Pranab Mukherjee has said that the skull and crossbones symbol is offensive to minority communities, it's not acceptable. So what? If it's offensive, it's more likely to put them off smoking, which is what it's intended to do.
I'd not like to comment on that.
Because it's embarrassing?
Not actually, but that is the intention of bringing the pictures.
Is to put people off.
No, I mean, just to create an awareness and then to desist from
The intention,
smoking.
as you said, is to scare them.
That's
Is
the
to
intention,
scare them. When people look at tumors on cigarette packets, when they see skull and crossbones on cigarette packets, they're scared, they're repulsed, and as a result, they don't smoke. If you put a smiling baby, they'll probably smoke 2 cigarettes.
We're not going to put smiling babies into that. Like, we are going to put pictures which are going to scare them.
Is it fitting that such communal considerations, and I'm deliberately using that word, that such communal considerations should influence ministers in a matter where tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions, could be saved, otherwise they may lose their lives?
See, now, when I had earlier said that we have to take into consideration the various section of people and what problems they have been facing at that level. And considering all these factors, now we are bringing in clauses and these issues like pictures, and we're going to do it progressively also. And see, one is...
Can I interrupt?
Yes.
You keep talking about what you're going to do. The reason I'm interrupting is that you've got a problem doing it because I know you want to do it. But you've got a group of ministers who stymie you. You're a young MP. You're a first-time minister. Do you find that on an issue where you passionately believe the government has to act, where morally the government is committed to act, elder politicians with perhaps vested interests standing in the way?
I stoutly deny what you have been trying to say, and the intention of the government is very clear. The intention of the government is it is against tobacco and tobacco-related activities. It is definitely there. And your
Pranab
intention
Mukherjee
about
speaking to the Indian Express says that he has 6 lakh. Let me finish this. Pranab Mukherjee speaking to the Indian Express says that he has 6 lakh BD workers in his constituency in Jangipur. To many people it sounds as if he's more worried about the impact on his personal career than the health of the Indian
Pranab
people.
Mukherjee is one of the senior most politicians of our country. We stand by him, and always he does what is right for the country, and there's no two views on that.
Is he doing what's right for cigarette smokers? Is he doing enough to discourage them?
It is like we have to take into consideration all the factors. Again, I'm saying that the various sections of people out there, the poor section, the workers are there.
My last question.
All the apprehension has to be taken.
I know I'm embarrassing you. I'm persisting because I know that actually at the end of the day you believe in what you're saying and you're stymied by some people who won't help you. But let me put my last question. In December you revealed that 4 chief ministers and 150 MPs had met you and a further 7 chief ministers had written to you pleading that pictorial warnings should not happen. Who are these chief ministers?
I mean, it's not like 4 chief ministers met me and 100 MPs have all done.
You said so.
It was misquoted. 1 chief minister met me.
Who?
And 3, Dr. Rajshekhar Reddy.
He met you. Who were the 3 who wrote to you?
And the chief minister of Tamil Nadu, the chief minister of West Bengal.
And the third?
Again, the Andhra. So there were 3 chief ministers.
Why do these 3 chief ministers not want pictorial warnings?
It's not like they didn't want it, but they had some views on that because of the BD industry, the employees.
Have they been lobbied by the tobacco industry?
See, the issue here is the tobacco industry is pushing the BD, the cigarette industry is pushing the BD industry, and the BD industry is pushing its employees to go to the street
and is the government as a result being pushed? That's what I'm asking.
It's little, I mean, when you have hundreds of thousands of people on the street, I mean, it is the duty of the government to listen to them.
30 lakh cigarette and BD workers versus a billion Indians, and you side with 30 lakh and endanger a billion?
It's not like I'm siding with them, like.
Your colleagues are.
As a government, whatever, the state government, they have to take the views of them, they have to take the grievances and then they take into consideration. None of these chief ministers say that they don't want pictorial warning. They just saying that...
Take it slowly, take it easily, don't endanger people and don't endanger our victory and our politics.
No, they are asking us to take care of the apprehensions of the people. I mean, they are the illiterate people, the poor people, and they have the family to support and all these. But again, I would reiterate that the intention of the government is very, very clear. The intention of the government is against tobacco,
Okay.
and we are going to save millions of people when we have more measures coming, workplace smoke-free policies and all these things like that.
Then let's take a break and let's talk about some of those more measures in the limited time available in part 2. We'll be back in a moment's time. See you after the break. Welcome back to Devil's Advocate and an interview with Health Minister Ambumani Ramdas. Dr. Ramdas, in part 1 we talked about the government's attitude to smoking. Let's now talk about civil society's responsibility. Should celebrities who are role models and who influence people's behavior smoke in public?
See, when you say celebrities, what I have been advocating when I took over as a health minister was the movies. And they are the most, I say, the most responsible.
Okay. Then let me ask you
and
this.
when I say in movies, there shouldn't be any smoking scenes, because we had statistics showing that 52% of children who have the first puff of cigarette is due to the movie celebrities.
So movies have a huge impact.
Absolutely. And when I said that, in fact, there were so many people who were against me, and you yourself have written an article questioning how I got my MBBS degree. I mean, this was the intensity of the opposition I had at that time.
Let me put this to you. Do you think Shah Rukh Khan should have smoked at a cricket match?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. What was the necessity? See, these are celebrities, and millions of youngsters are looking towards these celebrities. And when you say, I mean, there are so many of them, not only these movie personalities, but other personalities as well.
So you agree with me? Celebrities therefore ought not to smoke in public because they set the wrong example. They encourage young people.
Absolutely. Even my 4-year-old daughter could say this.
So you are today, as Health Minister, appealing to celebrities, and you're saying, for the bigger, wider interest of the Indian people, do not smoke in public.
I have been appealing for the last 3.5 years.
You're repeating the appeal.
Absolutely. I again request the celebrities, whatever field they are, whether it is in movies or sports or anybody else, not to do these things in public.
If Rajinikanth can agree not to smoke in his movies, do you think Shah Rukh Khan and Amitabh Bachchan should make a similar commitment? If he can do it, should Shah Rukh Khan and Amitabh Bachchan follow?
Easily they could do it. I mean, without a doubt.
Rajinikanth says that he did it because you made a personal appeal to him. Would you make a similar personal appeal?
I have already made appeals to Shah Rukh Khan and other people, and I'll be happy to do it again through you and through this CNN, IBN. I'd be happy to say, please don't smoke in any of your movies, Mr. Shah Rukh Khan.
You say you made an appeal to Shah Rukh Khan previously. Did he ignore it?
I don't know about that, but again I would like to make appeal not only to Mr. Shah Rukh Khan, to Mr. Amitabh Bachchan, to all the other personalities. I mean, children are being affected. 14-year-olds are taking on to tobacco. And when in, say, India, this very, very concerned about alarming rise of incidence of tobacco in young people.
You made an appeal to Shah Rukh Khan. You're making an appeal to Amitabh Bachchan. You're saying to them, in the bigger interest of the Indian people, don't smoke in public.
Not only in public, but in movies.
In particular movies.
Because
movies. 51% of people who start smoking do so because they see it in movies.
In movies, the heroes in movies.
Let me put this to you. In 2003, India made it an offence to smoke in public places. Yet the fine is only rupees 200. On the other hand, the fine for jumping a red light is 600. For speeding is 900. For using your mobile while driving, it's 1500. Why can't you increase the fine for smoking in public places?
We are going to change it because that is in the Act, not in the rules. We're going to change it now.
What should the fine be?
From May, end of May, there's going to be workplace smoke-free policy or smoke-free workplace policy.
And what would be the fine for transgression?
No, we are looking into the fine today. The Act says they're only 200 rupees, but we're going to penalize the institute, whether it's a hotel or a restaurant or the office or anybody else. And from June onwards, nobody could smoke in any place where there's employees, where any offices, any restaurants, any pubs, any bars, or anywhere in the country, except the roads or your houses, if
So you're saying from June onwards, not just workplaces where people work, but also, as happens in England and Ireland, you're going to ban smoking in pubs and restaurants as well?
Yes, anywhere where there's an employee, because an employee has access to a smoke-free atmosphere.
And this happens this June?
This June.
And this is a guarantee it will happen?
Yes, it will.
And your ministers and colleagues in cabinet will let it happen?
It is in the rules, and it has to, because we are moving forward towards the FCTC, Framework Convention Tobacco Control.
You say so. Let's wait and see if it actually happens. But in the meantime, a pleasure talking to you, Dr. Ramdas.
Thank you, sir.
Hello and welcome to Devil's Advocate. If the press is to be believed, no minister in the UPA government has attracted as much controversy as the health minister. But has he been misunderstood or has he made mistakes? That's the key issue I should explore today in an exclusive interview with Anbumani Ramdas. Dr. Ramdas, there's a widespread belief that as health minister you've been immature and defiant or arrogant and obsessive. Are the press being unfair or can you accept that you've made a few mistakes?
See, what you call controversies, I call awareness. You take, for example, a dengue. We said the media went hammer and tongs about the dengue and said this is all. Because of media, there's a lot of panic created. And I said, create an awareness, not a panic. So, because of my virtue of being a doctor, I'm a professional. In fact, I could say I'm a doctor first. Secondly, I'm an environmentalist. And lastly, I'm a politician.
So are you suggesting that in fact you're a victim of the media attacking you, creating controversies around you, and that in fact you made no mistakes?
No, it's not like I can't say that I haven't made any mistakes. But then today's media, I've been saying there's been mushrooming of media and they want to sensationalize. And there's a time gap of 5 minutes for breaking news, either before or after, and someone who wins.
And you got caught in that?
Yes, absolutely. And see, because of the media today, they want to sensationalize things like, I mean, we need an awareness, not a panic.
So you're saying that you're the victim of media sensationalism?
Yes. I could say it not to a fuller extent, but to a certain extent I could do that. I could say that.
All right, let's explore the major controversies in which the media has seen you as the center, and let's see how you emerge out of them. To start with, let's begin with your determination to remove Dr. Venugopal as director of AIIMS. You ended up in conflict with the press, with the courts and the resident doctors. Are you seriously saying that all of them are wrong and you alone are right?
See, firstly, I have much important things to do than take on Dr. Venugopal. And 80% of my focus, my concentration is on providing rural health care. And that's why we had the National Rural Health Mission. And Dr. Venugopal is one of the best doctors in this country. We all respect him. But he's also one of the worst administrators in this country. And
you mean that? One of the worst administrators in this country?
Yes.
You mean that?
Yes.
But can I
let me explain to you.
Can I interrupt that? Just for a moment, can I interrupt that? You say he's one of the worst administrators in this country, and yet on 2 separate occasions the Delhi High Court had to intervene. In July they stayed your initial action. In October, Justice Anil Kumar, speaking in open court, alleged that you had a 1-point agenda to oust an eminent doctor by any means. He went on to say of Dr. Venugopal that he was a director whose contributions to the institution and its functioning cannot be doubted.
Nobody denies that. Nobody denies about his contribution. He has contributed for a lot of years. I respect him. We all respect him. I am also a doctor, as he is also a professional.
But you said he's the worst administrator in the country.
See, a good doctor, I mean, it's not like he can make a good administrator as well. Some could, some can't. And a good doctor can make a bad administrator.
Why then
it's not all doctors can make good administrators.
But why then are your own political colleagues doubting you? Your CPM ally said your decision was unfortunate. The Parliamentary Standing Committee said it was deplorable.
It's not my decision. It's a collective decision of the institute body.
Initiated by you, taken by the institutional body, but initiated by you.
Today, All India Institute of Medical Sciences is slowly becoming an All India Institute of Political Sciences. And see, these guys should do what they know best, treat patients, and not go into just some flash strikes and some not politics. And today, unfortunately, politics has been creeping into the AIIMS. And I know a lot of political parties, the sub-cadres, all these are going to, and see, this institute...
But you're deflecting what I'm talking about.
I'll come back to that. This institute, we wanted to be the best in the world. We spent, when I say we spent 500 crores for one institute, some of my cabinet colleagues have budget less than that.
I accept what you're saying about AIIMS. The problem is that not a single one of your cabinet colleagues actually supported your attempt to get rid of Dr. Venugopal. Not one spoke in public.
That's false. That's
not
false.
One spoke in public.
I don't believe this.
The Parliamentary Standing Committee called it deplorable.
My cabinet colleagues are all with me. They are all supporting me, and I mean they're all with me.
A.K. Antony, the new defence minister, was a member of the Parliamentary Standing Committee which called your decision to remove Dr. Venugopal deplorable. A.K. Antony didn't object.
There are other cabinet colleagues, I mean, a lot of them, who are coming to me and telling them, yes.
To you in private maybe, but not in public. No one supported you in public.
I mean, that's a different issue as such. I mean, this is not a governmental policy
issue. But here was
a
minister under attack, faced with almost a revolt from the doctors of AIIMS, admonished by the court,
only a section of doctors.
And not a single colleague spoke up to you.
It is only a section of doctors who are there, and majority of them, see, I'll tell you one thing. Just 4 months ago, before the strike had come, the reservation strike had come, just 4 months ago, 99% of AIIMS was against Dr. Venugopal. I have got bunches of letters written by the same faculty association, resident doctors, employees, students, that he's inaccessible, incoherent, nobody could access him. And they wanted his removal. I mean, 4 months ago, all this anti-reservation strike had changed everything.
Why aren't any of these doctors admitting to what you're saying in public? After all, the press has access. They could have unearthed this. None of it has been unearthed.
Because the media are not reporting it. That is
the media is being unfair to you?
Yes. It's just a thing. I'm not going to blatantly accuse the media of it. But I'm saying that there are a lot of doctors...
Come very close to accusing the media of sensationalizing and targeting you.
Yeah, that is a different issue. But this one here, I'm saying, there are a lot of people in AIIMS, a lot of doctors who have been wanting to work, who have been wanting to,
and Venugopal won't let them.
It's not like he's not letting them work. See, there are a lot of strikes happening there. And when we say this is a premier institute in this country, we should lead this country. I mean, they're going on strike.
Can I point out to you why people have lost confidence in your handling of Dr. Venugopal? You've capped everything by slapping 45 charges against the man, including discriminating against scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, financial irregularities, administrative deficiencies, indiscipline, and not tackling the dengue crisis properly. Do you have an ego problem with him?
Absolutely.
Or do you simply dislike the man?
I am a professional, I am a doctor. What ego should I have with Dr. Venugopal? See, Dr. Venugopal is just one of the directors. I have literally 50, 60 directors under health ministry.
Given the impression to the press,
see, the media,
to politicians,
it's a media's
that
perception.
You have a problem with the man.
Let us say, it's a media's perception. They say, Ramadas, Venugopal. I don't know what. I mean, I have much important things to take on Dr. Venugopal.
You mean he's too small for you to worry about?
It's not that. I have much important things to do. There are a lot of other problems in this country in the health sector. And I am concentrating on that.
Let's leave Venugopal aside.
These are all administrative issues which has been hyped out by the media due to reasons known to them.
Okay, you say this is hyped by the media. You say you've been targeted. You say it's been done unfairly. Therefore, let's leave Venugopal aside. The audience can judge whether you're right or the media is right. Let's take up a second example of what's called your arrogance and your defiance. Your handling of doctors who went on strike in summer and your refusal for 8 weeks practically to pay them the salaries. You did this despite the fact that the Prime Minister on the 28th of May had given them an assurance that their salaries would not be withheld. You did it despite the fact that on the 31st of May, the Supreme Court ordered that disciplinary measures should not be implemented. You ended up defying not just the students, but the Prime Minister and the Supreme Court. Why?
Absolutely, Prime Minister didn't give any assurance on the salary structure.
It's been reported in every paper. The doctor said so.
That's why I say the media.
The doctor said so.
It's a media's perception, not the government's perception.
Even if the Prime
and we have a
Minister
national policy called no work, no pay.
But the Supreme Court on the 31st of May issued an order to say there would be no disciplinary proceedings.
We have a national policy. Anybody who doesn't work doesn't get paid. That's a national policy. And this policy was put up by the Supreme Court themselves.
But the Supreme Court itself was making an exception.
And in this incident, I don't know why they wanted an exception.
I'll tell you. Can I interrupt? The Supreme Court said the reason they were making an exception, and they publicly said this, is because, in fact, the Solicitor General, Mr. Gopala Subramaniam, on behalf of the government, had given an assurance that there would be no disciplinary proceedings. In other words, they were holding the government to its word. You backed off.
Disciplinary proceedings are like, they won't be penalized on the number of days of work, and they leave all that, not the pay structure. Salary structure is something which I'm not in a position to decide. That's why I had to take it to the cabinet to decide. It's not my decision. It's a national policy.
You're slightly wrong. You're slightly wrong. Let me point out why you're slightly wrong. On the 5th of July, the Supreme Court gave you a second opportunity to fall in line. They called upon you to be a model employer and not a destructive employer. What did you do? Instead of, can I finish? What did you do? Instead of listening to them, 5 days later you told the Hindu this was merely a comment, and then you added, according to the law of the land, no one would be given any salary for the period of their protest. So instead of giving in to the Supreme Court's request to be a model employer,
this is a national policy. And I'm not in a position to take decisions. That's why I had to take it to the cabinet to take a decision.
How long does it take to take a matter to the cabinet? 6 weeks of defying the Supreme Court, embarrassing the government?
It has to go through a process, and it has to go through. We just can't do this next week. We can't do that.
Do you know the impression in the country that in the end the Supreme Court on the 18th of July had to order you to pay, and you complied? You ended up embarrassing yourself, not proving a point.
I am also a doctor. I am on the doctor's side. I am with them. And I am also a professional.
It didn't look like that to anyone else.
It's not like I am with them. But there are certain policies of the government which we have to respect and abide by.
But the government gave an assurance on the 31st of May through Mr. Subramaniam to the Supreme Court.
No disciplinary proceedings like like they will get an extension of their workplace or their internship, all those things. That is what we are looking at.
Disciplinary proceedings are separate to cutting salary. It's not the same.
This is a different issue proposition altogether.
But the Supreme Court didn't interpret it in that way.
I know. See, the Supreme Court has said the government, no work, no pay. That's because of their initiation the policy was put. And I don't know. Do
you know the worst consequence of all this? The worst consequence is you became so obsessed during the months of summer with Venugopal and withholding salaries that you failed to take effective measures to prevent or spread dengue. You know it happens every September and October, but you got caught unprepared.
See, every year my experts go around the country. We have a national on disease country. They go around, they advise the state governments. They say there's a high density of mosquito growth, vector growth, and they say that you have to take decisions, you have to take steps on that, and we provide chemicals, we provide larvicides and mosquito, all that we give to the state government.
Every year we have a dengue attack. You're the health minister of the country, and I'm saying to you that you're more concerned with trivia
I don't want to shy away. Even though I don't want to shy away from my responsibilities, it is the state governments who have to take steps. We advise them, we give them all these things like
the manpower.
No, that's why I said. That's why I said I don't want to shy away from responsibility. I am responsible, but health is a state subject. The states, we do the policies, they do the implementation.
It's not just.
It's not I'm passing the buck. We advise them, we give them every resources.
Because you're responsible, if you felt that the state governments weren't taking the action you wanted them to take, you should have gone public. You should have alerted the country. You could have done so. You didn't. You didn't because you were too preoccupied with Venugopal and withholding salaries.
That's absolutely not true. See.
Can I quote you the Delhi High Court? 6th of October, the Delhi High Court said that this is a seasonal disease and therefore there is no unpredictability. Even then, it is as if you, meaning the government, has been caught unawares. There is total unpreparedness. And then the High Court added, we cannot comprehend why effective measures to prevent the spread of the outbreak were not taken. As health minister, the first person they were talking about was you.
See, let's say it this way. Last year, we had 12,000 cases of dengue. This year, we have only 7,000 cases.
7,000 too many?
I mean, all over the country, I'm saying.
125 deaths, maybe 130.
Last year in Singapore...
People who didn't need to die have died.
Last year in Singapore had more than 10,000 cases. They had more than hundreds of deaths. So it's not like it's a problem with India.
In other words, Singapore has cases, so should India.
That's a different. I'm not justifying these things like. But I'm saying like compared to last year, this year we have much less cases of dengue, much less deaths here compared. Because of the media, that has been hyped out there. And I don't want to fault the media on that because media had created a lot of positive impact on awareness. Because of media, there's been a lot of awareness.
You know what it sounds as if you're saying, whether we're talking about Venugopal, whether we're talking about withholding salaries, whether we're talking about dengue, you're saying, I, Anbumani Ramdas, am right, the media is right.
I'm never saying that I'm right, I mean, all the time. I'm saying that there are some things which the media sensationalizes. This is what I've been saying in my interviews also.
And therefore the media is being unfair?
No, I'm not. I mean, to a certain extent, I mean, to a certain extent. Not all of them. Like people like Karan, they go out, hammer and tongs, they're going in your articles.
You're absolutely right. In my articles, I said someone like you should not be a minister, you should be sacked. Let's pause and come back to the subject on which I said it.
Some of your articles.
Smoking.
Some of your articles.
Let's take a break and come back and talk about smoking, the issue on which you're absolutely right, I said you should be sacked. Let's come back and talk about that. We'll be back in a moment's time. Don't go away. Welcome back to Devil's Advocate and an exclusive interview with the Minister of Health, Anbumani Ramdas. Dr. Ramdas, let's come to what many consider your biggest, some would say your silliest obsession, smoking in films. You called for a ban on the 31st of May 2005, and although almost 18 months have passed, it hasn't come into being. Isn't this proof that even your own ministerial colleagues don't take this issue seriously?
They're stuck up in court. I mean, there's nothing which I could do when it's stuck up in court for more than a year. See, this issue of banning smoking scenes in movie, it is not my decision, it's a collective decision and experts. Today in UK, a Tom and Jerry cartoon scene smoking has been banned. So this is something which, let me
interrupt there. The first reason why you believe that smoking in film should be banned is because you're trying to prevent people from being tempted. The problem is that in the process you've ended up treating them as little children. Most people believe that a decision over whether to smoke or not is one they have a right to take themselves. It's part of their individuality, their adulthood. You're denying them that right.
This is not directed to individuals like you who are on the verge of retirement. This is directed to the people who are between 10 and 20. They are young adults, young individuals.
If they can vote for the government of India, can't they decide whether
let's say
to smoke?
a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old, looking at their superstars. I mean, see, I have figures, I have statistics. My experts say this. Today, like, let's say,
let's start with those
1991, 22% of lead characters smoked. In 2001, it was 52%. Today, it is 76% of lead characters.
Yes, but 76% of the country doesn't smoke, so there's no equation. 76% of lead characters may smoke, but 76% of the country doesn't.
See, we 50% of the population are young population in our country.
And what percentage of that 50% smoke? Probably not even 50% of 50%.
Today, when you say 26% of India smokes, and that's literally about 250 million.
Let me,
I mean, and say 40% of all the health problems in this country is due to tobacco.
The reason why
40% of health problems in the country due to tobacco, and we have to take very serious steps to prevent this.
Let's just look at the statistics.
It's not like I'm against the movie individuals.
You say that in fact smoking in films encourages the young to do so. In which case, how do you explain the fact that with the possible limited exception of Thailand, just one country, no other country in the world has banned smoking?
In 5 years, you're going to have 10.
How do you know that? How do you know what's going to happen in 5 years?
You're going to see. Today, Bhutan is the only...
That's not an argument.
Bhutan is the only country which has banned tobacco products. And
not a single country other than Thailand in a very limited instance has banned smoking.
People all over the world are looking at these things like... See, today, India is the highest producer of movies
let me once again quote your own statistics back to you. You said to the Hindu on the 28th of November, quoting research done by the Dartmouth Medical School, that 40% of US adolescents say that they've taken up smoking because they've seen their heroes smoking in films. Even if it's 52, make it even 62%. Even the American government doesn't take that research seriously because they haven't banned smoking in films. No country is more conscious of health than America.
Why do you say even America? We are living in India. I'm not bothered about America.
No country in the world has. No country in the world has, with the limited exception of Thailand. And even in the case of Thailand, it's smoking on films shown on TV, not smoking in films shown in theaters. And do you know what the Thai experience shows? Because it's very important. They effected the ban in 2000. After the first year of an initial dip in the sales of cigarettes, it's markedly shot up. So even in Thailand, the ban hasn't worked.
See, let us put it this way, like, today if Shah Rukh Khan, or let's put Mr. Amitabh Bachchan, when he say to women to immunize their children, there are millions of women who took their children to be immunized for polio. And the same Amitabh Bachchan has a cigarette in his mouth, there are millions of children who are going to take it up. Shah Rukh Khan. I mean, you see...
What makes you so sure of this?
My experts say these. My experts say...
On what basis do they say other than prejudice?
No, it's absolutely not. I mean, when my experts, when the WHO says you think it's prejudice...
Let me tell you why.
Are you pointing out deficiencies of WHO's report?
I'm pointing out to you and explaining to you why I think there is guesswork involved in this correlation that your experts is making. Let me finish.
The WHO says
Hollywood is in the center of Los Angeles. Practically every single Hollywood film has scenes of smoking, sometimes multiple scenes. Yet the level of smoking in Los Angeles is amongst the lowest in America. There is no correlation between Hollywood and Los Angeles, and they're cheek by jowl with each other.
I'm talking about India here. See,
why should India be any different? Human beings are the same the world over.
My experts say Shah Rukh Khan smoking in a movie is much more effective than a direct advertisement of a tobacco product.
All right, if you're so worried about smoking, why don't you as a cabinet minister move a resolution in cabinet to ban the production of cigarettes and bidis and to stop tobacco growing?
See, I would be very happy.
Why don't you do it?
But the ban is just a question of time. I can't initiate it today. I mean, I would like to, but then there are other things involved in this.
You've gone out on a limb to try and ban smoking in films. Why can't you initiate this, which is more sensible and more logical?
These are the first things towards a ban. These are the first things towards a ban. See, when you say India is the highest producer of movies in the world, and 89% of Indian movies have smoking scenes.
Can I point out something?
And 52% of children who start smoking, not people like you, children, young innocent children who start smoking, they say it's due to the movies.
No, I'm afraid.
So
Salam Bombay, an NGO that's worked extensively, says that in fact the majority of people who start working, particularly adolescents who start smoking, do so because of the impact of their parents, what they've seen at home, not films. It's parental influence and you can't control it.
See, when experts say that 52% of children who start smoking due to movies, and we have to take steps there.
Can I wrap up because we're running out of time? Whether we're talking about smoking, whether we're talking about Venugopal, whether we're talking about withholding salaries, people say that he's pushed a personal agenda, he's got it wrong, he's been severely criticized, but he won't accept This was either inexperience or impetuosity. Can you pause that if you'd had greater experience, you might have handled it differently?
See, I am a youngster and I have a lot of vision for this great country. I have been traveling worldwide. I want to replicate those things in our country. And there's a system out there which doesn't make you function. I mean, see.
Does when you say you're a youngster mean you could have done it differently?
No, I mean, see, these are things which not my individual decisions. These are collective decisions taken by the ministry, by the institute body. It's a collective path. Like, it's not something I have to get across to sir.
A pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
மாண்புமிகு டாக்டர் அன்புமணி ராமதாஸ் மத்திய சுகாதாரத்துறை அமைச்சர் புகையிலைக்கு எதிரான போராட்டத்திற்காக அமெரிக்க புற்றுநோய் மையத்தின் லூதர் டெரி விருதை பெற்றார். உலக சுகாதார மையத்தின் லீடர்ஷிப் அவார்டு என்ற சிறப்பு விருதை வென்றார். பொது இடங்களில் புகைப்பிடிப்பதை தடுக்கும் சட்டத்தை கடுமையாக நடைமுறைப்படுத்தினார். இந்த சாதனை தமிழருக்கு விஜய் டிவியின் முதல் வணக்கம். தமிழன் என்று சொல்லடா.
புகையிலைக்கு எதிரான தன்னுடைய நிலைப்பாட்டில் உறுதியாக இருக்கிற ஒரு இளம் அமைச்சர், மருத்துவம் படித்த மாணவனாய் கிராமப்புறங்களில் வேலை பார்த்த போது தொடங்கிய போரை இன்று இந்தியாவின் சுகாதாரத்துறை அமைச்சராகவும் தொடர்கிறார். இந்தியாவின் குடியரசுத் தலைவருக்கு கிடைக்கிற ராஜ வைத்தியம் கடைக்கோடி தமிழனுக்கும் கிடைக்க வேண்டும் என்பதற்காக தொடர்ந்து உழைக்கும் இந்தியாவின் குடும்ப நலம் மற்றும் சுகாதாரத்துறை அமைச்சர் அன்புமணி ராமதாஸை இந்த நன்னாளில் விஜய் டிவி வாழ்த்துகிறது.
மத்திய சுகாதாரத்துறை அமைச்சர் டாக்டர் அன்புமணி ராமதாஸ் 39 வயதை நிரம்பிய இளம் தலைவர். மத்திய சுகாதாரத்துறை அமைச்சர் எத்தனையோ எதிர்ப்புகளுக்கும் விமர்சனங்களுக்கும் இடையில் புகைக்கும் குடிக்கும் எதிராக இடையுறாது போராடிக் கொண்டிருப்பவர். அந்த தீய பழக்கங்களை குறைக்கும் நோக்கத்தில் அதற்கான கடுமையான கட்டுப்பாடுகளை கொண்டு வந்திருப்பவர்.
Tobacco war is a war between the silent majority versus the noisy minority. 60 கோடி மக்கள் இன்னைக்கு இந்தியாவில் வந்து இளைஞர்கள், 112 கோடியில 60 கோடி வந்து இளைஞர்கள். அப்ப அந்த இளைஞர்களை பாதுகாப்பது அரசுடைய கடமையாகும். அதுவும் சுகாதாரத்துறையில மிக முக்கிய பங்கு இருக்கு, ஹெல்த் மினிஸ்ட்ரியில. அதான் நான் செஞ்சிட்டு வரேன். இன்னைக்கு இந்தியாவில் பார்த்தா 11% பெண்கள் புகையிலை பொருட்களை பயன்படுத்துறாங்க இந்தியா முழுக்கும். இது வந்து அதிகமா வேகமா வந்துட்டு இருக்கு. ஏன்னா அது பெண்கள்னா அது ஒரு ஃபேஷனா போயிடுச்சு. இந்த புகையிலை பொருட்கள், மது, நொறுக்கு தீனி, போதை பழக்கம், இதை எதிர்த்து இந்த போர், நான் அமைச்சர் பதவி இல்லாத பொழுதிலிருந்து இந்த போர் நாங்கள் நடத்தி வருகின்றோம். இன்னைக்கு ஆட்சியில் இருக்கின்றோம். நான் பதவியில் இருந்தாலும் சரி இல்லைனாலும் சரி இந்த போர் தொடரும்.